Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my book review of the book Monster Hunter Memoirs Fever by Larry Correia and Jason Cordova. I have been reading through the Monster Hunter International series by Larry Correia. Earlier this year, I read the first two books. I read Monster Hunter International, which I really liked, and also Monster Hunter Vendetta, which I also really liked. And I wanted to continue on with the series. But the next couple of books are A, really long, and B, just continuing the main series. And I was looking for some short books to add to my TBR towards the end of the year. And this is a really short book. I actually have it in both hardcover and mass market. The hardcover is about 277 pages. The mass market's about 380 pages. So it's still, comparatively, compared to the other books, it's pretty short. The other books are all about 500 pages, at least at the beginning. I think they get shorter later on. But so I wanted a short book. And so I saw this on the shelf, and I actually asked Jason Cordova, the co-author, if I could read this without reading the other books in the series. And he said, yeah, as long as you know the basic premise of the Monster Hunter world, you can read it. I was like, sure, I'll read it. This one's set, the memoirs are set in other time periods than the main series, and this one is specifically set in the 1970s. And I'm so glad that I read it, because this is a fantastic book. This is such a fun, fast, entertaining read. It's just entertaining throughout. The basic premise of the Monster Hunter series is that, of course, monsters are real, and so there's this group called Monster Hunter International, which gets hired by the government to go out and kill the monsters. And sometimes they get hired by local governments, sometimes they get hired by the federal government. And the basic premise of this book is that our main character, Chloe Mendoza, she herself has some magical ties to the monsters, but she is hired by Monster Hunter International to be the #2 leader in this team that is sent to California, out to Los Angeles to fight the monsters down there. And so there's monsters, there's like giant beavers, and there's giant other creatures, and there's zombies, and there's werewolves, and there's just all these, monsters, and they go get to kick the crap out of them. And they bring like weapons, and of course Larry Correia knows his weapons real well, and Jason Cordova adds that kind of fun sensibility of exploring California, which I know Jason lived at one point, and so it's such a fun book. One of the things I really loved about this particular book was the pacing. It's so fast. I don't think there's a single scene in this book that was unnecessary. Sometimes, I'll be honest, the first two books, there were a few scenes that I was like, I didn't need that. We could have made this a faster read, cut out 50, 100 pages. I wouldn't cut anything from this book. I think that it is perfectly paced as it is. Every scene was necessary. Every scene kept it going. I was propelled with every scene. I thought this would take me a couple days to read, even with how short it was. And I read it in a single day, because it just kept propelling me forward, and I was so excited to keep reading. And so in that sense, the book is excellently paced. Also, all of the creature fights were well done. None of the creature fights went for too long. Sometimes when you do a creature fight for a long time, you're like, all right, we're done. Can we move on? I don't want to read about this action sequence anymore. It's cool. Yeah, they go kill and shoot a bunch of zombies. I don't need to have 40 pages of that. This is like 15 pages. All right, we're good. We're moving on. And I think the book works really well when it does that. It also, the setting is so useful here, because California is so different than the settings in the other Monster Hunter books, which tend to be in like the South, or in Mexico, or in around the world. Whereas this book almost entirely, except for like the opening chapter or so, almost entirely takes place in California. You also have the character of Chloe Mendoza, who I think is an excellent character here. She has a lot of stuff she's dealing with because of her magical connection with the monsters, and also her fear of kind of being outed, which was also a very interesting way of handling it in the book. And then also her character of, she's the second in command, but the guy who's first in command isn't really designed for that job, so really she's the first in command, and so she has to deal with leadership and managing people and also getting respect. So her character was handled very well. There's still a lot of opportunity to do more with these characters, and the side characters in this book are also fantastic, and there's a lot more room for them to grow. But for what this book needed to do, this book handles it well. All of the character arc that's begun in the book pretty much is finished, but there's also room to do another part of the character arc, to do another aspect of the characters. And, the rest of the team, you have Alex, who's the kind of nerd who, like, knows all the fun trivia. You have Melanie, who is the woman who looks like a dumb blonde, but is actually, like, a really excellent sniper shot. You have Rhino, who is the guy with all the scars, who's the team leader. And then you got a bunch of other characters that are all really great. Also, there's a guy. There's a character who is from Chicago, and he has some good lines. He has some good lines in this book, and so it is a delightful book from cover to cover. I had so much fun reading it. It doesn't have the most deep themes like you want from certain books. It is a very lighthearted read, which it's meant to be, and so it carries out what it's meant to do. If it had had a few more heavier themes, maybe it would get like a perfect score. But as is, if you just want a fun, light read about killing monsters and be satisfied with the ending, yeah, I think this is an absolutely satisfactory book to read, and I had a blast with it. I had a real blast. It's of the three I've read, the first two in the main series and then this in the memoir series. This is my favorite. I love this. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I absolutely loved it. And I really hope we get sequels with these characters, especially if Jason and Larry can keep the page length about the same as this. I think this is the perfect length for these books. The 700 page count, he's able to tell a lot of story, like 700 pages or 500, 600 pages. He can tell a lot of story, but it feels a little bit bloated, and it also feels like the pacing is sacrificed, and also it doesn't feel like the fun, pulpy action noir novel when you're having to read a really long book. But when it's nice and short, it does feel that pulpy fun that it's supposed to. So I thought that they absolutely nailed it with this book. I don't know how much of the book is Larry, how much of it is Jason, because I know Jason's voice and I also know Larry's voice, and it is a really good blend of the two. So I actually don't know who specifically wrote what words, how much, or whatever, but it works. Whatever the combo is, it worked really well here. So I had a blast. Also, I really like that cover. Who did that cover? That cover was done by Alan Pollock. Alan, good job with that cover. That's a pretty nice cover. So I really enjoyed Monster Hunter Memoirs Fever. My question is for you. If you've read this, did you enjoy it like I did? Have you read the other Monster Hunter books? Have you read the other memoirs books that Larry did 3 memoirs books with John Ringo? Are those worth it? Should I check out those as well? And do you have other kind of pulpy fun series that are like this? I know about Dresden Files. I'm already reading that series. But what else should I read? Let me know in the comments your thoughts down below. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.